The other day, Jake and Joel Are Magic put out a community post asking people what they thought of the Magic story, and of course I responded to it, but I decided to read that response here verbatim for the channel, mostly because A, it's content, and B, I wanted to try out a new video format. So, without further ado, the Magic story is at an irredeemably low point that I don't believe is going to get any better in the following sets or years. Wizards of the Coast has no interest in actually making the story good, as they can simply mark off some cultural checkmarks and basic tropes and call it a day, since people will still buy their sets regardless of how terrible the story is, and they know this. You can almost see the exact point when this began, in fact. While 2019 marked the start of the end, I believe the actual downturn of Magic's story began with the start of the Gatewatch saga. WotC saw the success of the MCU and wanted that for themselves, so they started shifting the Magic story to accommodate it. You can see a clear before and after. Planes introduced before the Gatewatch were expansive places full of lore and interesting characters with their own stories and goals, while planes introduced after the Gatewatch seemed more like backdrops to the Gatewatch's story, with their characters being little more than set pieces for Jace and the gang to interact with. Just look at Tarkir, the last plane introduced before Magic Origins. It was a sprawling world with an expansive history and interesting factions, as well as loads of interesting characters, many of whom had storylines that you wanted to see more of. Compare that to Kaladesh, the first plane introduced after Origins. It was more or less just a theme, steampunk world, and virtually none of its characters were of interest to the viewer outside of their interactions with the Gatewatch. And that was the problem. WotC wanted their Avengers to be front and center, to the detriment of the story. It doesn't help that this was right around the time we started getting a lot more dead lore. That is to say, this is when WotC really started leaning into designing for Commander, so we started getting loads of legendary characters that were more or less flavor blurbs and nothing else. And when the Gatewatch saga concluded in 2019, did WotC move on to the next thing? Did they start a new story with new characters? No. Just like how Marvel overestimated how much people wanted to stick around after Endgame, WotC overestimated how impactful the Gatewatch would be post-War of the Spark and kept using them. It doesn't help that the next 2 years of lore were a jumbled mess, but I digress. The real nail on the coffin for me, and many others, was the Phyrexian story. So much went wrong here. So much was poorly done. There were retcons, there were deus ex machinas, and genuine ass-pulls. We walked out of March of the Machines feeling like our time was wasted, and WotC didn't care. By this point, they had universes beyond. If they didn't care about making Magic's story good, now they really didn't care. Why make a good story when you could sell someone else's after all? Now we have snippets, stories with dissatisfying premises and dog-shit endings that don't satisfy anyone and don't seem to serve a purpose. Most of them are only connected by contrivances, and nobody but the most hardcore WotC bootlickers enjoy them. For my part, I feel like Magic's story would genuinely improve if no lore came out for a year or two, because at least then we still have a lot of older stories to fall back on and enjoy. The Vorthos community needs a clean slate and a fresh start, and I don't think WotC is going to provide it. So, I personally believe we're on a slow ride down. Buckle up. And there you have it. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below what you thought of the video, and of course, have a good day.